Hi everyone, we are Ilaria and Francesca from the task force. I led the initiative promoted by ActionAid Italy. And even though nowadays we are all stuck or almost in our place because of the pandemic, we want to travel virtually. And today we are landing in Denmark.
Yes, indeed. Today we are landing in Copenhagen with Helena. Hello, welcome, Helena. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Helena, I would like to ask you, what is the meaning of your country's name?
Denmark is danernes mark, which is, danerne is the Danish people, and mark is a field, so it's the field of the Danes. Very easy.
And what is Denmark famous for?
I guess it depends where you go in the world, but I think what Denmark is famous for, together with all the other Scandinavian nations, is definitely like strong welfare states or big social states, since we still have the system that has developed the system of having high taxes, but also free healthcare and free schooling and free university and so on.
So we are discovering lots of interesting facts about Denmark, but we don't know so much about you, Helena. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm a university student. I study geography and geoinformatics at Copenhagen University. Before I started studying, I've been studying at a folk high school to study green activism and outdoor. I live in Copenhagen. I've done so for a couple of years, and I've been working in ActionAid for 3.5 years, especially through a non-profit cafe, and now I'm working with inequality, economic inequality and climate justice.
Thank you, Helena. What are, in your opinion, the main challenges and issues that young people face in Denmark today?
For me, I guess some people won't agree with me, it is definitely the climate crisis. And I think this has been very clear through the attention the climate crisis reached in 2019. I think if you ask a lot of other people, would also be stress around school and also loneliness in youth.
Helena, which are the activities that you are carrying out on the ground to address these problems, and how these activities have been shaped by the pandemic?
Actually, right when Denmark was locked down, it was locked down in March, I was planning a climate strike. It was like a joint force from Fridays for Future and our Green Student Movement and ActionAid Denmark, and I think also a couple of others, which were all cancelled, of course. So I think this, like, Fridays for Future has done a couple of online strikes instead, but it has affected every kind of physical activity, especially in the first few months, because the main strategy or the main method, especially used by Fridays for Future, but also ActionAid Denmark, is, or like one of the big methods, is marching together and striking together, which hasn't been possible until the summer. For me, the climate agenda has been very present in Denmark, especially in 2019. I'm fearing that it's losing attention because of the corona crisis. And I think a lot of activists are working on this and getting the attention back, especially because we have a big People's Climate March this autumn, actually on Saturday, which I'm really excited for. But also, we like the discussion about climate justice in Denmark, because it's been an agenda that is very focused on Denmark, but also very focused on the EU and like other big organizations that mainly include countries from the global north. And I'm hoping through ActionAid to start this discussion in Denmark, because we need to think this crisis more globally. And this is also why I'm so excited that you contacted me, because we need global attention and we need global solidarity, because this crisis is hitting people in very different ways, and we need both local solutions, but we definitely also need global solutions. And we need to see this crisis handled together with the big, like, global and also national inequality crisis and food shortage crisis, water crisis, all these other crises that are just intertwined with the climate crisis. And for that reason, I'm also hoping to spread awareness in Copenhagen and in Aarhus, actually, around this topic. Aarhus is the second largest city in Denmark. Doing like climate justice days, a long range of events, talking about climate justice and putting this into people's awareness. Especially because this year we got like a new climate law in 2019, which where that is supposed to be like legally binding targets, which start in 2020. It's also make a 70% reduction in 2030. And making this new paper on targets, I really would love to see climate justice on this agenda. So we can think less locally and think more globally. When I started in ActionAid, I didn't start in the office right away. I started in a cafe called Mellemrummet, which in Danish means the space, which is also space on a computer keyboard. And this is supposed to be like, it's both a non-profit cafe to support projects within ActionAid. So we choose a support project every year, but it's also supposed to be a sort of free space for a lot of different kinds of people to meet and create a safe room, and also artists and activists to do events. And I've been there for 3.5 years, and it's the kind of place that you just, even if you leave it physically, it's always going to be in my heart at least. It's a very international community. We have a lot of people traveling, a lot of people on exchange who go there to get a network. And it's also, I think we call it our international family. So the main work there is mostly people making coffee, pouring beer, selling sodas. And then because it's all volunteer driven, we can provide a lot of money for the project that we want. And by all volunteer driven, I mean, I think we have maybe one paid volunteer coordinator, and procedures are done by volunteers, ordering stock is done by volunteers, making events is done by volunteers. So I think it's also a really interesting project because you can see that like how organized can you be within a volunteer group, and how much like how many tasks can volunteers take on them. And I think it's especially interesting because we are connected to a hostel, Global Hagen Hostel. So we also get a lot of international guests through there. So, and I believe actually ActionAid Network has gotten new cafes in El Salvador, and they're building one in Palestine now. So this concept is evolving across the ActionAid Network because it's such a good space to gather people and have talks and events, and yeah, it's sort of an activist art hub, I guess.
Thank you. And could you share with us an inspiring story of change from your context? Maybe someone you have come across to, or something inspiring that you know.
I feel I have luckily met a lot of inspiring people. I think in the climate debate, or like the climate agenda in Denmark, it was really inspiring to see the development across 2019, which is also, we also had our elections there, and it was called the first green elections because there were so many people on the street, both from the climate strikes with Fridays for Future, but also another force from something called the People's Climate March, which has been this like huge marches in Copenhagen and other, like a lot of cities around Denmark. And I really strongly believe that these marches have had an effect on how the elections went, how people voted, but also it has put a lot of pressure on the politicians. And also they were very inspiring events to be at because, you know, so many people gathered, and there was such a like strong feeling of belonging there, but also a strong feeling of of meaning in that group of people.
Helena, do you have a takeaway message for the other activists across the world to spread hope, to say to them that they have to carry on with their fight on the ground?
I think especially because of the corona crisis, we have a really strong need for hope. But I still think that seeing all these different creative ways of doing activism, especially now that we can't be on the streets, we can't meet physically, is so inspiring. That there's so many creative solutions going on, and look out for these if you want hope. But also, I strongly believe that the only thing that's ever changed anything is people, and that is communities, and it's building communities, and this is why we should continue doing all of these things. And things have changed, so of course things can change again. I think like none of these systems that we live in that suppress people and that is destroying our planet are natural laws. Like all these systems are made by humans, so of course humans can change them again. I think that's what I find the most hope in.
Many thanks, Helena. It's been really great to have you as our guest. So thanks a million for your time. And I would like to remind our audience to keep following us with new interviews that we have from other countries. And yes, so that's it for now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.